Let's talk about curses. More specifically, how do you know if you indeed are cursed? Now, when most of us think of a curse, we think of what? We think of some kind of hocus pocus, some kind of spell that has been placed on somebody. Or if you're in another part of the world, let's say Africa where I was born, you might think of a witch doctor throwing bones onto the ground and putting some kind of hex on somebody. Or if you're in the islands in the Caribbean, you might think of, some kind of voodoo and a doll with all kinds of needles being poked into it. This is the image of a curse that most of us have been conditioned into believing. Now, I believe that this is also detrimental for most of us because we will actually miss out on the largest type of curse or the most common type of curse that we actually see in society. The type of curse that just about every single individual on this planet has at least had on them at one point. And that is the psychological curse. And newsflash, the only type of curse that exists is the one that is in your mind. Let me explain. When an individual believes that somebody has placed a curse on them, right? They hear that somebody says you have this many days to live or this thing is going to happen to you. Let's say, you're going to erupt in chickenpox or cowpox or whatever they place on you. Something that somebody else says is going to happen to you. And let's say that thing actually manifests and happens. Now, most of us would think the reason behind that is because that individual had such magical powers. They had some kind of esoteric power that they used to put over somebody else, and they made these things happen, right? That this person was a powerful wizard, a powerful witch, and so they placed this curse on people who had no control over the circumstances, situation. When in reality, what truly happened was that an individual bought into the belief that they were cursed. Meaning, the person who supposedly was cursed believed in their mind that they were susceptible to something happening. They believed that another individual had power over them. And so them buying into just that narrative was creating an environment in their mind where they were susceptible to hypnosis, right? And if anybody has ever seen like a case of hypnosis, maybe somebody's on stage being hypnotized, whatever it is, you see that, let's say a person who can lift 300 pounds can be told, you're weak, you're feeble, you can barely lift 5 pounds. And the person would try to lift, let's say a 10-pound item and the person will be struggling. A monster, somebody who could usually, again, lift 300 pounds with ease is now struggling to lift 5 pounds off of a table, off of the ground, simply because it was suggested to their subconscious mind. Now, this doesn't just happen on stages where you have these individuals who are trained in such modems. This is what's happening to every single one of us at some level. We are programmed, conditioned into specific belief systems. We are hypnotized into belief systems that have us acting in certain ways. And the key word in this is your belief system. And a belief system is a thought that is repeated time and time again until it becomes true to you, until you start to buy into it mentally, physiologically, emotionally, and then through your actions, and it starts to manifest as your life experience, which is then a reinforcement for you. So when we talk about curses and true curses, the ones that all of us actually have to be aware of, it is the curse of the mind. And it is the only curse that actually exists. Again, even if you are somebody who believes that somebody has some kind of voodoo doll that they're poking all kinds of needles into, that belief that somebody has control over you simply because they have this doll that it's supposedly magical or whimsical, that thought, that idea, that belief is then what affects you as a person. And I'll give you a real life example, which is so far out there, but it will show you the extent to which our mind can go. Now, there is a writer, I think he was alive during like the 1930s, 1940s. He was a doctor and a scientist of the mind. His name was Joseph Murphy. And he tells a story of the power of the subconscious mind. So it's a story of a man who I believe was some kind of butcher or working in those type of spaces, right? He was working with freezers and meat. Now, this man found himself one day being locked in one of these freezers along with the meat, right? It was a large container, so there was enough space to move. It wasn't like he was, restricted a space, but he was locked in this freezer. And Some hours went by, maybe 6 or 7 hours, and they finally opened the freezer because they were looking for this guy, and they found him in there. Done. Gonzo. Croaked. Now, they're wondering what happened to this man, but thankfully, he told them exactly what happened. The man wrote a note. He left a note for his family, his loved ones, his friends, and he said, "This is probably going to be the last time you ever hear from me. I just want to let you know I love you and that I froze in this freezer. That's what happened to me, right? That was my cause of death." And so they took the note and they investigated it, and the investigators were curious and they were confused because the freezer was around 57 degrees. Now, for anybody who knows temperature, which is all humans, 57 degrees is moderately cold, but not really. It's like a light breeze. It's actually really good weather. Like if you're anywhere in the United States and you get a 57, like that's a nice day. You're taking the family out. You know, unless you're in California, you're probably complaining about it. So this man caught himself in that 90-degree weather, or 90-degree weather, in that 57-degree weather, freezing literally to death. And when they did the autopsy, they found out that this man's organs had literally frozen over, which seemed like an impossibility because it was not cold enough in that room for him to freeze at all. And so what they realized was that his own belief system, his own telling himself over and over that he was going to freeze in that cooler, actually cooled down his organs to the point where they actually froze, to the point where they actually mimicked what it would be like for his organs to freeze in freezing cold temperature. His body listened to his mind. His body listened to his thoughts. His body listened to his belief system. And so, again, his organs froze. Now, think about that story and then bring it back in the context of your own life. There are areas in your life, every area in your life, actually, where you tell yourself certain stories, and that story acts as a form of hypnosis or acts as a form of a curse on the mind. And a curse is simply a belief system that is holding you back, a limiting belief system in essence. That is really what a curse is. It's a destructive belief system because we have plenty of belief systems that are constructive and proactive and are building forces in your life. Like they're very proactive, they're very helpful in multitudes of ways. You know, an abundance mentality, a mentality that, you know, people are good and life is good and, you know, that it's easy to be grateful for things, etc. Like these type of mentalities or these type of belief systems are extremely helpful in our lives. But when you start to have beliefs such as, you know, I always attract terrible people in relationships. I can never find a good relationship, right? Everybody is toxic or everybody is a narcissist who I run into. Like these things are curses that we have literally repeated to ourselves for so long that they become a part of our personal reality. And so we believe that they're true because we see them, as opposed to they are only true for us because we believe them, only because we repeat them. Let me say that again. We believe it's true because we see it, but we don't realize that the only reason we see it is because we believe it. Our internalization of that belief is what has made it manifest in our personal physical experience. And any belief that we hold can be changed. Every belief that we have can be changed. A belief is not truth. A belief is a personal truth. It's a personal reality, a personality. You can break that down for yourself. So again, we find ourselves in relationships saying these things, or maybe in your finances, right? You think, oh man, I always struggle with money. I have to work so hard for money. Money is, you know, hard to keep. Every time I get my hands on some money, it disappears. Like these are all curses that you place over yourself. I always have to, whatever it is, to make money. That holds you in a specific place. Maybe I always have to do things that I hate to make money. I have to work a specific job in order to make money. I can't do what I love and make money. All of these are beliefs that you have created or that you have adopted into your life, internalized, and personalized as your external experience. That is a curse, my friend. Therefore, every single one of us at some level are cursed. The only difference is it's not like the curse that your grandmama used to talk about. It's not that type of curse. It's not the hocus pocus. Because the hocus pocus is the weakest type of curse to me. The most sadistic type of curse, the most sneaky type of curse, the one that gets into every compartment of your life is the one that you buy into, the one that you claim, the one that you fight for. Like there's so many limiting beliefs that you have that you fight for every single day. You fight for your limitations. There are limitations that you have that you will literally wrestle somebody to the ground just so you can keep. You will wrestle somebody to the ground so you can keep those. It's just hard for me to lose weight. I just can't. I can't. Somebody will come to you and give you advice and you'll fight that person because you're holding on to the belief that you just cannot. I just can't get healthy. I just cannot. You tell yourself these things not knowing you are reinstating or reinforcing a curse over your own life. Now, again, it all comes down to belief, which is why when you see some people having curses removed from them, the hocus pocus type of curse, the voodoo type of curse, the voodoo doll type of curse, the witch doctor type of curse, the reason why you have individuals believing that this was removed by a certain person who is more powerful in their magic than another is because you believe in that person. That's really what it is. And a lot of us have learned to believe in other people more than ourselves. So we'll go to a person and say, can you remove these curses from me? And they say whatever opposite of hocus pocus, pocus hocus maybe. And then all of a sudden you feel that that curse has been lifted off of you. Now, this message might offend you, or it might be something that challenges your own personal belief system right now. You might still want to fight over the fact that I'm not, I have no power over this. I'm not in control of this. That is a belief system. That is a program of powerlessness, of learned helplessness, of a victimhood mentality. That is a learned behavior, a learned characteristic of your current personality. You believing that you have no control over those curses or quote unquote curses within your own mind, within your own personal life, that is a belief. And that is the most disempowering belief. If somebody tells you anything different, that person is looking to hold you in that disbelief. That person is looking to hold you in that disempowering belief. If somebody tells you that you need them in order to remove something off your life, that person is looking to benefit and gain from you. Gaining from that situation. Even if I was to say you need me in order to overcome your limiting beliefs, even though I'm a coach, even though this is what I do, this is what my life is dedicated to, I would still be a liar, a bold-faced liar to tell you that you need me. No, I can help in this situation. I can help in the circumstance to guide you. I can give you the tools necessary to empower yourself, and that's exactly what I will do. However, I am not the one removing anything from you. You are the one coming to awareness, recognition, consciousness that there are certain things that you are believing in that are simply not true. But again, because they're showing up in your physical experience, you see them as true. And so you allow them to perpetuate when you continue to hold on to them, when you continue to fight for them. Again, the longer you fight for a limitation, the longer you're fighting for it to remain as a part of your personal experience. Point blank, period. And it's only you who can make that decision to step out of that space. Only you, nobody else. Again, you can go to all kinds of doctors. You can go to all kinds of wizards, all kinds of warlocks. You can go to anybody you want. You can go to a priest, a pastor, deacon, anybody, and think they have some kind of special powers on them that's going to remove something off of you. But in reality, you are just believing in that individual. You're placing your belief once again externally. You're placing your inner power externally. And that can serve you only for a little bit. It's only a temporary fix. But once you start to live your life out, it's never going to serve you in the long run. It's never going to serve you in the long run. Think about it. You're going to always look for something outside of you, somebody outside of you to be the solve all for your internal problems. When you've been equipped with all the tools necessary in you, you're going to go to somebody else every single time or something else. Whenever you have a problem, you're going to call on Becky. You're going to call on Susie. You're going to call on Taquisha. You're going to call on whoever it is continuously for the rest of your life when it's within you to solve that. Now, I don't know about you, but that ain't for me. I'm not the one or the two or the three. I've realized that has been bestowed upon me. I'm the one who has authority over these situations, circumstances. in interactions in my life. It is only me who can choose how I go about my life experience. Therefore, I'm going to take responsibility, my ability to respond, and I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to respond to the programs that have been placing me from childhood, the programs that were placing me later on in life, the programs that I was perpetuating because, again, I was afraid to change or to choose something different, or because I was in love with my victimhood. I finally made a decision that it mattered for me to move forward as opposed to staying in the very same place or going backwards, in fact, because truly in nature, there is no in the same place. Things are always moving towards growth or they're decaying. And you can choose which part of that equation you want to be in. So like I said, if you are somebody who is in this specific situation, which is every single one of us, but you are dedicated to actually making that shift and that transformation, make sure to book a one-on-one consultation with me by going into the description below. I have a Calendly link, actually 2 of them in there, that will lead you directly to my personal calendar. You can choose a day and a time that works best for both of us. And let's start to crack the code. Let's really start to break this down and to absolutely eradicate these from your life. You don't have to go to somebody to curse you or uncurse you or do whatever. It ain't none of that. It's all about the psychology. It's all about what's going on internally. And that process is 1,000 times easier than trying to configure whose grandmama did what. Trust me, way easier. We ain't got to dig up old bones for this. This is dealing with you right here in the immediate. Now, if this was of absolute value to you, which I believe it was because it was for me, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to like this video. It costs you nothing. And leave me a comment. Share this with a friend. Like, let's move this message forward is what I'm saying. Let's move this message into the world and make it something that is heard and that is known. No longer are we going to be victims to life.